And then you also talked about, how do you feel with the white coat? Does that make you freeze? Does that give you some anger? And you're showing them ahead of time, okay, so let's say dad feels this way, mom feels this way. You're able to have that plan ahead of time. If mom shuts down, then dad knows, okay, this is where I step in at, okay? So you're prepping them for that, because I've never thought about that. Also, another thing that I used in my prenatal yesterday, because that's such a good point.
Welcome to the Birth Education Center podcast, hosted by myself, Care Messer, an entrepreneur, birth educator, and doula. My team and I want to help you discover your options in birth and postpartum, how to find your voice, and how to use that voice to navigate our maternal healthcare system. You and your baby are not just a number. This information includes doulas too. Now let's get started. Welcome back. This week we are doing more doula education. I have Jessica here today. And we're going to go through what she learned while taking our hypnobirthing series, what she observed from the parents. And then I'm going to ask her some personal questions because I have permission to ask her. So, Jess, let's start with class 1, which is demystifying, debunking what people think about their bodies, about what they've been told about birth. You're coming in as a new doula who has not taken childbirth education class yet.
Yeah.
So this is brand spanking new. When you had your first son, did you have any childbirth education?
It was in a basement and it was terrifying. I was 16 and I just completely shut out, didn't listen. The videos were not like the videos you show. It was a little traumatic. So this one there's a lot of emotion that goes into it. And I'm a very emotional person. It's also very grounding. So it's so different. It's so different than just your standard.
Yeah. And that was probably just taught by a private educator at her house.
It was, where was it? I think it was like a hospital or church. It was so long ago, but it was basement. My mom went with me and I don't remember. I blacked everything out. It was almost like, oh my gosh, I can't do this.
Too much. And you had to face it. So
yeah, It was too much. It wasn't really lighthearted. And I remember it was just facts. You weren't talking about your feelings or how you felt about it. It was just, this is that, just straightforward, no room really for thought about it. It was just, this is just how it is. And this is what we're teaching.
And I have a feeling there are many childbirth classes still like that today, which is sad to me because it can be so much more connected and soft and still direct and have all the information, but take into consideration the spiritual aspect.
Exactly. It really changed your perspective on the whole thing. I thought this class did. You're really making them feel empowered, which is so huge, and making them feel like they have a choice, and having partners feel like they know what's going on. They're going in prepared, which is so huge. So huge. It's so huge because a lot of dads at the beginning were like, oh, I'm terrified. One dad was like, I'm ready for my baby to just walk out.
Just walk out. I'm like, I can't really guarantee that. Not going to happen. And I think that's the part about education is you, as the consumer, are already empowered. You make or break every decision. It's in your system to say yes or no to anything. You are the empowered one in the situation, but we have groomed you to not be. We've groomed you to be a follower. Yeah. And this is the one time that is probably the most important time in your life when you need to have opinions and ask questions, get the information you need, because you're making decisions on behalf of someone that you're taking home, as well as your own body. You go in empowered, whether you know it or not. It helps if you practice beforehand. So
Exactly.
All right. So that's where we're going to start with class 1. So what do you have for class 1?
So for class 1, I do have lots of notes. I am 100% type A. So I had 30 pages. I did condense them down. So if I'm looking down, that's
how did you take 30 pages of what?
I know.
You might as well just take in dictation, girl. Oh my gosh.
I stuffed everything in. So.
If you sneezed, she recorded it. That's how that works. Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Any little tip and trick I got.
Fantastic.
But I loved how you are really switching their minds, because a lot of them were really scared. You could tell, nervous. some anxiety. There was some type A moms in there like me. So like I completely felt that. And you're showing them that this is natural. Like this is this can be calming. This can be, it doesn't have to be stressful. You can go in with just this mindset of this is going to be beautiful. So you're really starting to set them up for that. You're saying your uterus knows what to do. Baby knows what to do. You know what to do. And that really resonated with me. I feel like a lot of moms need to hear that going in because sometimes you do feel a little powerless to the situation. So I thought that was really big.
I think all the time you feel powerless. Like,
Yeah.
the unknown is so big. It's like and all I've heard from my friends are this is not good.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of them did say either it was, what was the word somebody used? It wasn't hippie, it was another word, but they were like, either it was like super home birth or it was very hospital. And I wanted to bring that home birth vibe into the hospital. So that was a great way for them to be thinking about that. But you were basically giving them tools on how to make their space and listening to the lead of their body and following that. You're mentioning identify threats. How do I switch that to give birth in a safe environment? And I've never thought about that in that certain way before. So that was really big. And I
Freaking
felt
mammals. Nobody talks about that, but
nobody
mammals birth the same way, whether you're a cow, horse. Like if you're unobserved and feel safe, you're going to birth way better than if you feel like you're under pressure. You're not, there's a timeline. There's
yeah.
strangers watching you. Like cows and horses don't do well with strangers watching them. They
Yeah.
go into labor in the middle of the night and they try and stay the hell out of your way
Yeah.
because it works better.
Yeah, exactly. And I liked how you started with the association game. You're giving them words and you want to see kind of where their mind's at. So, as an example, you said contraction. Somebody said pain. You said complication. Somebody said unprepared. But as we're going further down your list, they're starting to pick more calmer words. So, somebody said acceptance, somebody said peace, breathing, relax. So, they're starting to get used to almost the flow of things. And they're starting to think,
And for those of you who don't know that association game, the first words that I use are all medical terms. So I use the opposite word, a synonym, in a softer way, a different way of saying it. So instead of surge, it could be wave, or it could be birthing wave, it could be whatever. But instead of contraction, right, it's a surge of energy. And they do start thinking, oh, it could be like that in special circumstance instead of complication. So their mind starts to soften
yeah,
because those words aren't as activating, but they're the same words. They mean the same thing. It's just there are ways to look at birth as not an emergency. And that's
exactly.
probably new for many people.
Very new. And then I love how you jumped into what their motivation was, because that is so grounding and that can really get rid of your anxious thoughts. And I actually used this in my prenatal yesterday about what's your motivation, because I felt like that was so big, because a lot of women said to regain my power, for me, mindset is everything, a peaceful birth. And that's just, it's making them say those words out loud of what is possible.
Because if you don't name it, you can't attain it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I love how at the end of the classes, you do this little meditation. Yeah, there was a lemon reference. And let me tell you, it works. If you use that in your real life and circumstances, I was going through something and I used that, really helped me. And I didn't think that was going to be the one I used, but that's super stuck with me.
That's
So
a
I thought
very
that was
common
really
hypnosis convincer,
Yeah.
because you can think about something and have an actual physical reaction to where you're getting the twinges in your cheeks and you're feeling and saliva shows up because your mind is flippin' powerful. That's that's a very well-known technique.
It was wild. So I really enjoyed that. And I know they really enjoyed it, but you could see towards the end, they're like more calm, they're curious, they're really ready to jump into the next class. You could tell they're pretty excited to continue. And I liked the tip and trick in this class about the 40 blinks. I'm a new doula. I didn't know what that was. And that's such a game changer, because you mentioned put these on when you're in the car. And that's huge, because for somebody who's anxious, sometimes you need to block everything out. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't even know that was didn't think of that as a possibility. So that was a really good tip.
Especially for highly sensitive people, if they can just block out and just go internal, they do much better. They do much better. Sometimes if they're highly sensitive, they'll have those on and they don't want anyone touching them because that can be too much. But just blocking out the observation can really help them go internal, which is what we
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Okay, we're moving into class 2, which is sexy class. I love all my classes, but class 2
Yeah.
is fun. It's sexy, connection, all the things. So what did you take? There are probably 25 pages of notes just for that class because that's
Yeah, I know. That one was super fun. So I loved how we started this class so empowering. We watched a few birth videos and much different than the birth videos that I watched in the basement at 16. So these ones were just they were very empowering. They were very calm. One of the dads said, I really like the baby seeing both parents. And I really felt that because my wife had gave birth and I was there. So I've given birth, I was the partner. And it's really big. And a lot of people don't, I feel like, think about it because the partner sometimes goes in not knowing what to do, how to fit into this picture. And you showed him, like, yeah, like it is possible. Like you fit in this too. So that one really resonated with me.
it's pretty interesting if you're a childbirth educator, every video you show before you show it, all you have to do is say, "Okay, partners, see what this partner's doing. Can you do that?" And they're always like, "Oh yeah, like I know exactly how to touch her," or "Oh yeah," like that's all they have to do is see themselves in those shoes, and that starts to go, "Oh, I know how to do that. Oh, I don't have to be gaming in the corner of the hospital room. Oh, I could do that." It makes a huge difference, and also probably the videos that you pick as an educator will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
I don't always pick calm ones,
Yeah.
but,
So I know we'll discuss that one
yeah,
towards the
to predict what we're doing in sexy class, that's what I start with. Yeah, partners are really good at dry runs,
Yeah.
doing it once or twice, and then also seeing themselves in another dude's shoes or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And it really gives them confidence as well, which is so big. And a lot of them were saying, like, there was no rush, there was no screaming, there was no stress between the partners. So that was very calming for them because a lot of times you think, like my hospital video that I watched in the basement, it was chaotic. So it's nice to see something that's not chaotic.
Yeah, we gotta
Um,
replace those images with something that's
yeah,
a little different.
Yeah, and you mentioned again how we're mammals. We want to be calm. We want our hormones to be in a good place because if not, our body's going to want to protect baby and hold baby in. Also, I never thought about it like that. I thought it was a very different point of view, and it's so true. It's so true when you think about it.
'Cause any
Um,
mammal wants to protect their newborn. They wanna
yeah,
protect their young, right? A donkey's not gonna drop if there's coyotes out there, they're not gonna drop their baby. They're gonna
yeah,
hold on to it at their own detriment because there's a coyote there. Like, you have to do it the
exactly,
same way. And if that coyote happens to be a mother-in-law, let's rethink who's coming to our birth.
exactly. And then I liked how you mentioned if a doctor is scissor happy to have the nurse warn us. I've never thought about that. That's so true.
What's interesting is nurses know which docs they like to work with and which ones they don't. And they're
Yeah.
usually the same ones that we don't like to work with and the ones that we do like to work with, right?
Yeah.
So if you can always say to the nurse, like, hey, depending on who's on call, who's the least scissor happy, or is everybody pretty chill with episiotomy and whatever? And they're like, okay, we'll call them in at the very last second. Like, let's work as a team to make sure, if there's somebody that's very brutal with, no, I want everyone on pit and I want it like this. Here's what we're going for. Can you make sure you call in the right doc or midwife for us? Or make your timing the right way. And nurses are pretty good about that. They really are. They get it.
That I actually also mentioned that in my prenatal. I thought it was great. So I also thought it was really interesting how you mentioned allow your body to heal for postpartum equals an easier way to support menopause. Didn't know that. That is
Nobody talks about that
huge.
either.
Nobody. This is the first time I've ever heard of that. So that was like, wow, that's a game changer. That really that makes a difference right there because it's just I've never heard of it. So that was
Yeah,
really
we just think we
interesting.
have to get back to stroller strides, but our estrogen covers up a lot of stuff in our bodies for the next 20, 30 years, however long we might be having a baby at 40, and it's going to be different than a 20-year-old. But once we start losing that estrogen and everything starts shifting, oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot that happens in our bodies that if we had just chilled,
Yeah.
right, and actually recovered the right way, we're going to have less prolapse. We're going to have less complications in our later menopausal years if we take the time to heal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge. And you're mentioning hydration plus rest equals an amazing birth. So you're really giving them all these tools just to help set them up for success. And a lot of these tools are not talked about enough or not at all. So that's another thing that sets this class aside from other birthing classes is you're really covering everything. And then we get into sexy time. And I thought this was so cute because you're having the guys practice on the women, practice on the guys. And then at the end, the guys were like, that was amazing. And it's so cute because every partner, you're big and you're pregnant and you don't feel the same. And to hear your partner be like, wow, that was amazing, it makes you feel so good inside. So I thought that was really a nice way for them to connect because life gets busy and you're in the hustle and bustle of pregnancy. And it's just,
And we've got to touch our partners.
yeah,
When we're pregnant, we get so self-consumed, as we
yeah.
should. We do distance ourselves because we're so self-consumed. And we do welcome hard-ons and mini hard-ons in our class, especially when they get touched. And they usually jump off camera before that
Yeah,
happens. I'm like, you know how to touch them. You reach arounds are fine. Be
yeah,
as comfortable with each other as possible because that's how you set
yeah.
yourself up for good connection now and through labor, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you made a good point for postpartum too. Even Tuesday nights, if it's just starting on with a check-in of how are you, or if it's pizza at home, we're actually going out. Like it's just a little reminder of take time out of the day, at least once a week, to check in with each other.
How did
Continue
our week
that.
go? Where were we
Mhm.
low? Where were we high? How can we repeat the good stuff? Where do we need to call in more support? You have to make that a priority, like you
Yeah,
do, to get through
yeah,
the postpartum because it's meant to kick your ass and break you down, but
yeah.
it doesn't have to be horrible.
Yep, exactly. And if you're in it together and you feel like you're on the same page, it really makes a difference. Especially if it's just, you two, you don't have a postpartum doula, you don't have anyone staying with you, you're really gonna rely on each other. So it's
Yeah.
big. It's
Have those
really big.
conversations ahead of time, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then so you showed an intense video, your most intense video, and it
You
was
guys,
really a
it's so intense. Like, it's intense. I will just tell you that. And yeah. And I do it on purpose
yeah, it's
because
important. It's
it's
very
important.
important. 4 moms were like, "Heck no, that's not gonna be me. I'm not comfortable with that." But when you're in birth, you don't know how you're going to be, and it's important for those partners to see this might be a possibility, and you're also showing these women, like, it's okay if you are more vocal. It's normal, it's okay. You're doing what feels good to help baby come out. So
And this video, I wanna say it's not a bloody, gory birth.
exactly.
It shows the intensity of vulnerability in birth. So
Mhm.
you see her work through the push and pull of, "Do I wanna go there? Can I go there?" And she works that out with her partner. He literally is holding space while she is
Yeah.
going through it. And sometimes it's a yell, and sometimes it's a I can't, and then I can. And she's erupting how she's allowing herself to erupt. I don't even know if I could do it the way she did it.
I
Like,
know, I
ugh,
know.
every time I watch it, my insides are like, holy cow, to witness this is amazing. Um, yeah. And one of the dads was like, I've never seen birth like that. And I've seen a lot of births. And I'm like, because he's a doctor. And I'm like, yeah, this is different. And which is why I'm showing it because you may have moments of this where you're like, oh, this is crossing the line. I want you to see it ahead of time so that you can just hold space as she moves through it.
Exactly, you're prepared going in and you have that confidence to hold that space.
Yeah. And know that
So
it's part of her process as she is
mhm,
becoming this fierce mother. Like
exactly.
it's just a matter of all of us in the room allowing and holding and not trying to rescue because she's working through a process. It's not wrong. It's
Yeah,
not bad. It's part of the process.
exactly. Yes, so that is for class 2. Moving on to class
Awesome.
3.
So, in class 3, we go into pushing, like almost 2 hours worth of pushing positions, all of that, and a
Yeah.
lot of self-advocacy and
Mhm.
finding your voice and taking responsibility for your birth.
Yeah, yeah. So we went over some breathing exercises, and this one I felt was very important because I feel like breathing isn't talked about enough. I remember a little bit with my class, it didn't feel natural, if that makes sense. It was more, this is how you should do it. And it was
Pattern
nice.
breathe. It was the old school Lamaze, right? Like pattern
Yeah.
breathing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And how you worded it, because, inhale, and then you were saying, no, you can either exhale through your mouth or your nose. And for me, that's big because even with practicing as a doula, I was like, okay, when I was practicing, I'm like, okay, breathe out your mouth or your nose. And I just couldn't pick one because I was focusing too much on it. So you reminded them that, okay, you breathe what feels also good for you. No, there's no wrong way to breathe.
And that's the thing. Some women have trauma with breath from assaults and things. And so breathing with their mouth closed reminds them subconsciously of not being able to scream. So they have to breathe through that. Like you have to be open to here's a proper way, here's another proper way. And at the end of the day, how can you do it long, slow, and deep and intentional? Because that's we're trying to get oxygen to our baby and our muscles and keep our hindbrain going, oh, we're not running from a coyote. We're good. There's no tiger chasing us right now. We're good. That's the purpose of breath. Those three things: oxygen to the baby and the muscles, and so that our brain knows we're not triggered in fight or flight.
Exactly. And then you also talked about, how do you feel with the white coat? Does that make you freeze? Does that give you some anger? And you're showing them ahead of time, okay, so let's say dad feels this way, mom feels this way. You're able to have that plan ahead of time. If mom shuts down, then dad knows, okay, this is where I step in at. Okay. So you're prepping them for that because I've never thought about that. Also, another thing that I used in my prenatal yesterday, because that's such a good point. I was like using all the tips and tricks.
You're going to have, I just totally wrote all your prenatal questions for you. That's awesome. You're welcome.
It really helps me because prenatal can be a little nerve wracking whenever you're a new doula.
And that's the thing. You'll find some basic things, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
you're going to see something in a birth room and you're going to go, oh, I need to
Yeah.
incorporate that. And I'm going to twist it with this one. That's going to make more sense. Like
Yeah.
in 5 years, you're going to have a completely different way you do it.
Yeah.
And taking more birth classes, you're going to, like, I don't have the end all birth class. You're going to take birthing from within. You're going to take Lamaze from somebody else, whatever.
Mhm.
And they're going to say the same thing I said in a different way that you're going to go, oh, so much better. Oh, that makes sense. Like that's the point of getting educated by a lot of different people with
Yeah.
the same concepts. It's still birth, but
Mhm.
you're going to hear things differently from their experience than my experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it's such a good thing. I really liked that one. You showed the squatting birth videos. I loved these. I know a lot of moms love these too because a few moms are like, I'm going to squat my baby out. Like at the beginning, that was their plan. And you were showing them, like, okay, this is possible. You can squat your baby out. You don't have to push on your back because a mom mentioned, I don't want to push on my back. So you're showing them like different ways that you can do that. And you showed one woman in the jungle giving birth by herself, and it was calm. It was really calm. Her mom or somebody patted her on the head and was like, bye. And she did it.
like, you got
So,
this, because in their tribe, that's the expectation, that you do it on your own. And the baby comes out into leaves on dirt, on the
yeah.
ground. There's no
Yep.
swaddle. There's no rubbing. There's no suctioning,
Yeah.
right? She did the entire thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So that one was really neat to see. You spoke about a light epidural. I didn't know that you could pull back whenever it was time for pushing. I did not know that. It's never been mentioned to me. It certainly was not mentioned to my wife in labor at all.
Nope,
So,
because most don't do that, right?
mhm,
Prepping for a cesarean in case she
mhm.
can't push this baby out. So what doc is going to say, cut the epidural, let's let her get up and move around, because it will prevent a C-section in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Dr. Cap was the first one to do that in a room with me, and I was like, what? He goes, yeah, let's get her up. Let's get her moving. That's too heavy. She can't do it. You got her on one side. Dad's got her on the other side. I'll be back in a while. And then it became a thing. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, and I've also had moms where they say, I do want the pain relief, but I need it light. You need to give it to me very light. And a lot
Yeah.
of anesthesiologists say, no, I do it one standard way. They're like, please do it. This is how I'm requesting it. And they really advocate for themselves to
Yeah.
get it that way. And I
Yeah.
just actually recorded a birth story. I don't know when it's coming out yet, but that worked for her.
That's so
So
neat. It's so neat because I did not know that. I didn't know that was a thing. So I really like that. And you gave tips about what to eat, which is huge because a lot of places are like, nope, you can't eat. And, and you gave tips of what's a good idea to eat for early labor, active baby, essential oils, which is really neat. Peppermint to help, go to the bathroom afterwards. Um, so I really thought this was super good that you went over that because I think it might have been fourth or fifth class. A mom messaged and she was like, yeah, I went on this tour at a hospital and they were saying that I couldn't eat. And she's like, I actually know that I can. So,
there are no food police, everybody. Like, if you want to eat and drink during labor, freaking eat and drink during labor. Don't hide it from your providers. I never say hide it. But if you want a Big Mac on your way in, eat your Big Mac if you might throw it up.
yeah,
But eat during we've had breakfast
yeah,
burritos during labor, and that's what I've had carb loading where they ate a whole huge serving bowl full of pasta with a big old cube of butter on it.
I
Like,
love
eat
it.
what feels good to you. Please don't do something acidic because it comes up. You're not going to like that ever again. But there are no food police. So if you eat because you
Yeah.
need energy and so does your baby. And evidence-based science says, yeah, you can totally eat and drink during labor. So do it.
Yeah, that was huge. So it was really fun to see a mom like a couple classes later and like that stuck with her. Like, she'll do this.
And stuck with her
So
husband too. He was like,
I
what the
know.
fuck? I only get to have snacks for me in this cooler for the placenta, by the way. Yeah, whatever.
I know. So
Like,
that
do you know your audience right now, tour lady? No, you do not.
so that was really neat. So I really enjoyed to see her be able to like she's she's gonna advocate for herself about that. So that was fun to see. And then what that was interesting was you mentioned don't hold the baby in because doctor's not in the room. I didn't know that would even be suggested to a woman. That's horrible. That's
And
horrible.
babies are held in sometimes with hands,
That is
right?
awful.
Yeah, it is awful because you're setting synapse patterns in their brain of I
Mm-hmm.
almost get to something and now I'm completely stopped.
Yeah.
You are literally setting patterns in the baby's body.
Yeah.
And
It's
nurses can catch babies. I know they get in trouble for it and we have to sign a paper that says the doctor gets paid for this.
Mhm.
Frickin' whatever. Like,
It's
dads can catch, moms can catch.
yeah.
If your baby is emerging, let them emerge.
Exactly. Don't just push them back in. That's crazy to me. I didn't realize that happened. It was so sad for me to hear that happened. So
Yeah.
that was really great that you mentioned that to the moms and the dads so they know if someone said that's not okay, you let that baby out.
Do your thing. Yeah, and in the squatting video too, it's called Birth in a Squatting Position. It's from 1978. It's pretty freaking amazing. And you can get it on YouTube. But as you're watching that, you don't see docs rushing to rub the baby. You don't see a suction coming out. You see a birth pause, which is no one sees that anymore. The baby emerges onto the Chuck's pad underneath, and she's the one that looks down and claims her baby. She's the one that starts rubbing her baby softly or just picking her baby up and coming back into her body. It's as close to what we probably did several thousand years ago in the woods or you're ever going to see on film. And yeah, I'm so grateful to those women for letting that be filmed because it offers up a new perspective of like, well, if you were at your house and you couldn't make it to the hospital, what could you be doing? Throw a pillow underneath and let your baby emerge on a pillow and then pick your baby up.
Exactly. So wholesome.
Yeah, so good. Okay, class 4. This is fear release class. A lot of videos, a lot of visuals, and a lot of talking through, can you handle fear and what does it look like to you? And why are you scared instead of being curious?
Yeah. And I liked how you played the surrender game of what that was for them versus what it is now. And a lot of them were like, it used to be giving up for me. And a lot of them were like, now it's acceptance, letting things unfold the way it needs to, letting go. A type A mom was like, okay, I'm going to let go. And I understand how challenging that can be if you're type A, because if there's a way you want it, that's the way you want it. And it's really practice of the mind to get to that point of letting go. So I was really proud of her to get to that point. It was really nice to see all of them.
And she talked about letting go no matter what the situation. If I meet every moment with, that's how this is going to go. Interesting. And just, wow, yeah. If you can meet every moment like that and just let the story unfold, your body's going to unfold, your mind's going to unfold, your baby's going to unfold. And it takes conscious preparation to do that and start working on it now. Oh, that's how my boss's email went. How am I going to respond to that instead of asshole reaction? The practice starts now so that you can be in the moment. And it takes practice.
Yeah, it really does. And you were reminding them, that was my next note, that you're reminding them to practice this now. I got this. I let go. And next we're going over fears and backups. And that makes them it makes them feel more comfortable, makes them feel more prepared, like the association game, how it was complication and they said unprepared. So you're giving them this idea of, okay, let's think about what might happen. And then they're preparing for that ahead of time. And they, like you said, they know in their head, like, okay, like this is going to happen. This is okay. This way might happen. It's okay. You're also grounding them with that as well. A lot of people mention cesarean, and then somebody had as their backup gentle cesarean. And I also did not know that, because my wife ended up having a cesarean, and that I wish that would have been an option, especially for what happened in the birth room. So it really would have made a difference. So it was nice to learn that, because now I can mention that also to my clients. If this happens, then we could ask to see if this is possible.
And they can talk about that ahead of time. Like they can watch videos of gentle cesareans and say, here's what I would like. And I would like the cord not clamped, because you don't clamp it on preemies. I would like my full term baby to get all of their blood. There are ways to really have a beautiful cesarean with pictures and sounds, and the baby's first cries can be recorded on the partner's phone because they just hit record in the operating room. There are ways to have a beautiful birth from your belly, just the sunroof. That's all it is, because it's still your baby's birth. So that can all be done ahead of time, especially if a family is scared of cesarean. Let's talk about some other options.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if this is procedure, but with my wife, they popped her over the curtain, but I wish they would have just walked over to the side just so she could put her cheek on her cheek. That didn't happen. I had to go over there and I cut the cord, and then I was able to bring baby over, and I wish that was also an option. So that's another thing that I think about also with cesarean. So kind of got my brain moving.
Yep. There's different ways to do it. And if they can do it at other hospitals, they can do it at your hospital.
Yeah.
What's the rush? Like, can you take an extra 5 minutes? And can I have a clear drape? Where some moms are like, I don't want to see it. And I'm like, it's actually the same view out of your vagina, as if they're not going to show you your innards. That's not what it's going to be. You're going to see a baby come up and out, just like you would if it was from your vagina.
Yeah.
Because it's the same angle, but you don't miss anything that way. You see the baby come out.
Exactly. Because it's such a feeling. So, and I also really loved the reference that you made about the rosebud and the induction. I really loved that one. That was beautiful to think about. So you were talking about that with them. It's hard to pull, if a rosebud isn't ready, it's hard to pull those petals back, and you let a flower.
Wouldn't ever do that. You would not go into nature and go, you have to be totally open by tonight. We have a dinner party, and then hit that, rose petal with your fingers trying to stretch and open. You just wouldn't do that.
Exactly. Exactly. So
why you wonder why an induction takes 4 days? Because your body and your baby aren't ready. If it's safer for baby to be on the outside, I totally get it.
Right.
But most of the time, guys,
it's
just not.
Exactly. So I really love that reference. You can really see such a difference already with class 4, with how they're feeling. Like, you can already tell that they are more confident. They're regaining their power. They're feeling more grounded. It was really nice to see. You can just tell such a huge difference. You just the way they're speaking and talking, and even just going with, surrender, how the words they chose. They're really more relaxed and calm going into this birth.
And the
So it,
fear release too does a lot for them to look back at what they didn't know and to where they are right now and then what's coming up in the future because they feel more confident now to be moving towards that where they didn't at first when they're first sick and nervous or their birth story was 4 years in the making you have to give yourself credit for you already have a lot of skills that you're taking forward. And then they're like, "Oh, I am." I'm like, "Yeah, look at all this stuff." Like you were totally unprepared, scared, whatever. You gathered that, you made it through.
now
Road
going
ahead.
forward, yeah, exactly. So that was a really beautiful moment to see everybody gaining that confidence. So it was a nice way to end class 4.
Yeah, I love class 4. I like all the classes.
They're all
I'd
good.
have you all for 8 weeks if I could, but nobody's gonna sit through 8 weeks of class. I get it. I totally get it, especially at the end of pregnancy. So we go into class 5, which is birth rehearsal, wrap up of any questions, make sure we understand newborn procedures, what they do in the hospital, all that kind of stuff for the
Yeah.
end.
Yes. So with my notes with this one, we had a little emergency and I was in urgent care while
Good thing we
listening
were
to class.
online because she got to take us to urgent care in her ears and listen to the whole
Exactly. I'm in the room and Kara's with the pelvis. My wife cut her finger, so we skedaddled on over to there, but she's okay. But I jotted down a few notes with that. So you were basically going over positions and touch with them. One touch I really liked was mom was laying on her side and you were slowly going down, just ever so gently, or you can put pressure, whatever feels good. That looked so calming, even for me not being pregnant. I'm like, that looks great.
Yeah, it's called deep touch relaxation, and
Mhm.
especially if somebody needs a break in labor to sleep, it can help calm them and the baby so they get really deep sleep for even 20 minutes, which
Yeah.
refreshes them, gets them back up. Yeah, and it's a good thing to practice because then you can do it wherever you are.
Yeah, exactly. So you were going all over those positions. You were running some tests with them so they feel like they rehearsed before, the big day, which is so big for confidence. Like that's how I am. I have to practice before I, do something. So that was really great for them to practice. You're already seeing such a difference with, like I said, with class 4, they're feeling so much more confident. I did like how you mentioned you said a few tips and tricks. I didn't know that the epidural stays in your system for 2 weeks. And
I
if
mean, until
moms want
your
to,
body clears it, it's anesthesia.
I didn't think about that. And I feel like a lot of moms don't think about that because not that anything's wrong with an epidural, you're going to choose whatever feels best for you. But if somebody is wanting no medication, like they're really against it because they don't want really something to stay in their system. And they're like, okay, I'll just do the epidural, thinking that it's going to maybe go. Because I thought once it's done, it's done. I think that's really important for moms to know, partners to know. So that's,
They just need to know that Medicaid, it's not a one and done thing.
yeah,
Not that it's bad or it's good, it just is,
exactly.
and they've even shown babies that have had medication during birth, like epidurals, compared
Mhm.
to babies who haven't. They latch differently, they move
Yeah.
differently, they sleep less when they've had no medication because they have to clear it from their system too. It's a system-wide. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's not like you're getting the shot of morphine or fentanyl in your system that
Right.
goes straight to the baby, but it is, yeah, it's still system-wide.
Yeah. It's super good information to know. So that was something I learned. I really liked hearing their end comments. It was so special. I wrote down a couple. So, for one, like I said, very emotional. So, it was really nice to have the opportunity to hear their thoughts. And I was so thankful also that the parents were allowed us to be on there because it is sacred. I feel like it's very sacred. And it was very sweet of them and very sweet of you. I was very thankful to hear their end thoughts. So, some of the end thoughts were with type A mom. Okay, it doesn't have to go. I had this vision. This was the vision. This is how it's going to be. That's it. And she completely was open to whatever comes her way, which is so huge. And a dad mentioned, and I found this so interesting because coming from the medical field, I worked as CNA, EMT, I worked for a optometrist for 9 years. and he was also in the medical field, and he gave his side of it. Just because you're from the medical field doesn't mean you have to go this certain direction. You can have your own thoughts about it. You can do your research. You don't
can
have to
be a dad
listen.
instead of a doctor.
Yeah,
Or a
you don't
PA,
have,
whichever he was. I don't remember which he was. Yeah.
exactly. I think this one was the PA, and that really resonated with me because when I went into birth, I was such in that medical mindset. It's so important to have that education up front. I can't stress how important it is. It would have made such a difference with my birth. And I'm so happy that this is going to make a difference with theirs. So
And
that was
you
really
had
interesting.
that medical mindset going into your wife's birth. Is that
Mhm.
the one you're talking about? Because you're
Yes.
like, oh, we got this. I'm in the medical field. I'm very comfortable with all things medical, the terms, whatever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not knowing the other side.
Exactly. Whatever they said, I was like, okay, they're saying this. It must be right. And I, a little breakdown with that was we went in for an induction, said baby was too small, and ultrasounds, they vary. You never really know. I hear so many stories of she was a pound heavier, by the way. We were fine. She actually weighed more than what my son did. And they let him go to full term. They're coming in and they're like off grade fentanyl, but they word it differently. They're like, oh, just a little something to make mom feel easier. And I wish I would have had that backup of realizing that's going to make baby sleepy.
I mean, it
Mom
makes
is,
baby high. What it is, it's going
yeah,
directly into their bloodstream, just like I'm not going to compare it, but I'm going to compare it. If
yeah,
you were doing a line of Coke, which you would never do when you're pregnant, but yet you will do an IV or an injection into your vein of fentanyl or morphine.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
I
does that
never,
make sense to anybody? No,
I
but we
know.
do it all the time.
Yeah, and it was suggested, so I didn't think anything of it. Somebody and professionals suggesting that to me. I guess that's the right way to go.
Yep.
And I just wish that I would have had that education going forward because I feel like a lot of things would have been prevented with her labor. Very long, ended up in cesarean. And as a partner, it's so hard to go through that because I went through the birthing aspect. So I thought I knew everything about it and how to act and how to be. And you're in there and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I froze. I didn't not expect me to freeze. It it was
Isn't that eye-opening? Which
it's
is gonna
so
make you
eye-opening.
such a better doula because you're gonna be able to prep them for, do you fawn? Do you freeze when an authority figure comes in and expects something? Like,
Yeah.
because you have that lived experience and then
Mm,
there's another side to it, it's gonna make you a much better doula.
thank you. Yeah. And it's such an eye opener. And also with being in there during a cesarean as well, I got to experience a lot. And like I said, I wish we would have had the option for gentle cesarean. I wish I would have researched it. I only thought that cesarean was one way. I've only ever heard it one way. No one's ever not talked about, especially because I came from a small town anyways.
You had a vaginal birth, you didn't expect her not to have a vaginal birth.
Yeah,
Probably
exactly.
wasn't even
And
on your radar.
yeah, exactly. And what's weird, almost funny is so I went in and I was young. I didn't know what a contraction was. No one ever even, actually, no one, I don't think anyone talked to me about how to time contractions. I'll tell you honestly, it wasn't really discussed. So I felt some pain. I was like, oh, I guess it's time to go. And they ended up inducing me. But I had vacuum and it, I just thought it was a normal part of labor. I just thought it was a normal part of delivery. I didn't know there was really I don't know. I just thought it was standard. So whenever they said that we might have to do vacuum on Weiss, I didn't think, I just thought it was standard. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is normal. This is how mine went. So that's
Right?
where that education would have came in handy as well.
Because we could be off our back, moving around,
Yeah.
cutting epidurals. Like, there are so many options, but when you go to the hospital, you get their menu. You
Hmm.
don't get the à la carte menu because you've never even researched the à la carte menu. You don't even know you could order
Exactly.
that on the side,
Exactly.
or
And I
choose something
will,
different.
yeah, exactly. And I will say, as a partner, which I really feel for people who have gone through this, you almost feel a sense of guilt that you didn't have that education and that research. That still hangs over me a little bit with the guilt. So I can't stress enough how education is important, especially I really love this class because you are going through everything. You're going through, how a hospital is business. You never really thought about it that way. So true. So true. Some people, I've heard of hospitals inducing people just because they have a bed open that day. It's all
Yep, you
very
just happen to have a
simple.
bed open. Why don't you come in right now? Let's get that baby out. Okay.
Yeah.
No talk about consequences. No talk about, well,
No.
you have thought you wanted the baby out. So, hey, we got room.
Yeah, exactly.
Those
So
choices have consequences.
yeah, they do. And it would have been, yeah. So I wish we would have researched me, especially she speaks Hebrew. So for the most part, she knows English, but I felt a lot of responsibility for that. So something I can't stress enough, especially as a partner. And then you're also going to go in feeling that confidence of knowing how to act, how to touch. That was a big thing for me, actually. My sister-in-law came in and she's the one who actually calmed my wife with touch, with the way she was touched, because she's been with her for, we've been married for 4 years. But her older sister just knew because they're very Hebrew, Israeli, very emotional, touchy. So they're used to touching.
Well, and sisters,
So
right? You'd sleep next to each other
yeah,
and you'd doodle on each other's arms and you'd play with each other's hair. Like, if that's your person, that's your person. And
yeah, exactly. And I wish we would have practiced touch. I didn't think about practicing touch. So that would have came in really helpful as a partner to know what she liked and what she didn't like for touch. So I thought that was really nice how you mentioned to the moms and dads with this class. Practice. It's great to practice that way what they like and what they don't like. So that was huge.
And if it changes during labor, it changes during labor. But
Yeah.
at least your practice should be pleasurable.
Yeah,
At least that should be connected. And I understand the guilt you feel. And I want you to also look at a lot of partners, because they don't know what they don't know, assume doctors will know everything.
Yeah.
If they're suggesting it, it's the only way or the right way. And so they don't see a reason to get educated, because 5 weeks, who wants to sit through a birth class? Even 3 weeks, even a 8-hour class. Why would we want to do that when we're going to follow what the doctors say anyway?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the bottom line is that we turn over all of our power before we even know that all the power is ours. And that
Exactly.
it's our baby's birth, and that we really do have that responsibility of, it's our baby's birth. We owe it to them to even research, but that's never talked about. So there are parts of society that, yeah, we can feel guilt over it, but we don't look into it because we've never heard of it. So
Yeah.
it's not like it was talked about in school. You're an idiot because you didn't. It's not talked about.
It's
It's on
not
the
at
down low
all.
for real. And
Exactly.
that's why we have
Exactly.
1% of home birthers in this whole country.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's not the expectation.
exactly. And you give them so much information. I meant to mention this at the beginning, but the parents are viewing at home on their downtime with videos and papers, we're getting the same thing, which is really helpful. You know exactly what they're learning. I am a type A. I made so many note cards with these videos. I was so happy. I still reference back to some of those videos because they're so helpful. And it's just a different perspective as well. Like you're going in about the hospital, you're going over medication, you're going over the risks and benefits. And that is not in books. I am such a bookie and I bought a bunch of books about this, and it's just straightforward of what it is. It's not really going over the risks and the benefits. So as a doula, that was extremely helpful to have because yesterday I had somebody ask me about a membrane sweep, and I knew the risks, the membrane sweep.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew the risks and the benefits. I just didn't know the definition. So that was super helpful.
And that's one of the things in the Induction 101 course. If everything is explained with the science on both sides, or the probability of a membrane sweep at 38 weeks is going to be a lot different on a first-time mom than one at 41 weeks. Just knowing that if you just give it a couple extra weeks, you're going to have better results if you choose that. I mean, sometimes you won't choose it, right? But knowing the science on both sides for as much as possible, and then also not even just science, but what have we done for 1,000 years?
Yeah, exactly.
Can we put that in the mix too? Because there's some innate design wisdom here that maybe is not explained by science at this time, but it freaking works.
Yeah.
And it's worked for our great-great-grandmothers. So that's why we're all here.
Exactly. So it was so helpful. So I really recommend doulas to take this class. I really recommend people who are birthing and their partners to take this class. It was
Well,
such an eye opener.
take all classes. Take
Yeah.
whatever feels right to you. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
mine, but doulas, the more education you get from different providers in your area and even online educators,
Yeah.
you're just going to be a better doula. And
Yeah.
when you have downtime because you don't have a lot of clients,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Invest in
Exactly.
yourself because it's only going to help your family and you're going to feel more confident.
Exactly. Which makes all the difference in the world. And I will say, like, I loved your class. You're so funny. You're so entertaining. I was not bored once. So it was a really great class to take. I remember you came and talked to us doulas in our donut class. And I remember sitting there, I'm like, I'm taking her class. I was so excited to take it. So I was like, I was creeping on your website
I
the
blame
next
that on
day.
my high school drama and my debate team expertise because I talk a lot. Every single report card I had from little kid on up was, God, she never shuts up.
I love that
And
though.
I'm like, yeah, I do have that problem. I'm much better now holding space when I need to, but yeah, I do. I talk a lot.
No,
and
I love
everything's
that.
funny to me. And that's a result of a lot of trauma growing up. But I
Yeah.
like that part of me now. I like the
Yeah.
humor. You got to make fun of this, man. There's a gaping hole that opens up and a human comes out of it. Like that.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
somebody's of humor.
It's so lighthearted. And I feel like a lot of people need that lightheartedness. So,
Yeah,
it
we do.
calms them.
We do. Jessica, thank you for all of your input. It was pretty amazing. Your 30 pages condensed down to 5 or 6. I'm very impressed. Maybe I could use those as an outline for my class. You should
There you go.
give those to me. I might need those, have proprietary information on them
Exactly.
right
Just
now.
send those right over.
Yeah, you could teach your own class. You got more than I do on my own outline. So anyway, thank you. And if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below and we'll see everybody next week.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for joining us today. And remember, it's your body, your choice, and finding your voice is your power. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us in all the places, and go to birtheducationcenter.com for our blog and more online education classes. And we'll see you next week.